For a minute, I want you to picture that each day is like a blank canvas, and you're holding the brush, and the decisions you make are based on that brush. The issue now is, what will you paint? You regard every day as a chance to become better. It's a chance to hone your abilities, improve your way of thinking, and live a better life. However, you have to make it happen. It doesn't just happen. One of the most important things I've learned is that success may be achieved with only a few basic practices. On the contrary, they practiced failure every day. The difference between these two is really a few daily mistakes in judgment. The little things you decide to do better every day are what separate failure from achievement. It's the little changes that we sometimes ignore, not the major ones, that have the most impact over time, and I've summed it up to about, we'll go over the 10 things you need to work on improving each day. However, we will swiftly go through them in order to get to our objective workshop. First and foremost, you need to work on improving your attitude every day. How strong your mindset is, and how it serves as the cornerstone of your life, you'll discover that it completely transforms your day if you make little improvements every day. Now, you might argue that it's simply an attitude, Jim. I'm telling you, it's not only how you feel, it's simply how I feel. It's how you see the world, how you tackle issues, how you deal with difficulties, and how you interact with others. And it reciprocates. Your disposition attracts others. It either attracts or repels chances. Consider this. Have you ever encountered someone who is always pessimistic and whines about everything, regardless of how wonderful life is? Given that mentality, how much success do you believe they attract? Probably not much. And that's because their pessimistic outlook blocks opportunities. However, a person with an optimistic outlook draws opportunity. People are drawn to them and want to collaborate with them. They want to support them and see them succeed, so if you can change your mindset even a small bit each day, perhaps you try to be a bit more patient or just a little more positive, you'll discover that doors that you were unaware existed begin to open. Here's something to consider. Your attitude doesn't shift all at once. It's a gradual process where you become better every day. Perhaps you concentrate on being a bit more appreciative today and a little more resilient tomorrow. The next day, you concentrate on solving issues rather than moping over them. You build something solid and long-lasting by adding a little brick every day to the foundation of a more positive outlook. And I'm telling you that when you change your attitude, everything else begins to improve as well, including your relationships and your job. Your health is the next priority. Your ability to communicate effectively is a critical component of your success. Therefore, you should practice it daily. Why? As communication is a part of everything in life. Communication is the foundation of all interactions, whether you're speaking with a friend, doing business, or just spending time with your family. And your company will operate more smoothly. The more you communicate, the better your connections will be, and the greater the impact you will have on your community. Now, let me explain. Talking is just one aspect of communication. Actually, some of the finest communicators listen intently rather than talking a lot. They listen with compassion, not just to react, but also to comprehend. As you can see, effective communication requires both parties. It involves effectively communicating your thoughts and comprehending those of others. And you may get better at this every day. Perhaps today you try to listen more effectively. You rehearse making your point tomorrow. The next day, without being combative, you try to find the appropriate words to communicate how you're feeling every day while you work to improve your communication approach. Then others start wanting to listen to you. And this is where the true power of it lies. When you lead more effectively and communicate more effectively, you motivate people to take action. Tell me, Have you ever miscommunicated with someone and had a misunderstanding? Perhaps they meant something very different from what you first believed, and that little miscommunication turned into a major issue. Now consider how much better communication might be. How many of such misconceptions might you prevent each day? How many disputes could you settle, and how much more interpersonal trust could you establish? Isn't it worth considering next? You have to become better at self-control every day. You must realize that self-discipline is the link that connects your objectives and your achievements, as well as your capacity to persevere when you don't feel like it. It's the capacity to carry out necessary tasks despite discomfort. And the fact is that success is impossible without self-discipline. You may have all the skills you could possibly need, the greatest ideas, and the finest ambitions in the world. However, none of it counts if you lack the self-control to follow through. The more you practice self-discipline, the stronger it becomes, and you can become a bit better every day. For example, you may force yourself to get up 15 minutes earlier today. You force yourself to work out tomorrow, even if you don't feel like it. The next day, you force yourself to avoid distractions and maintain your job concentration. Although each of these little acts of discipline may not seem like much, as you accumulate them over time, they provide amazing outcomes. So here's something to consider. Self-discipline involves developing habits as much as willpower. You notice that once you develop a habit, it takes less self-control. It becomes habitual. Therefore, developing supportive habits is a component of enhancing your self-discipline. Your objectives, for instance, if you develop the daily practice of reading 10 pages of an excellent book to learn and develop, habits take control and you don't need to use willpower. And discipline comes naturally to you. I once met a really gifted young guy. Despite his immense talent, he lacked self-discipline. He would enthusiastically begin tasks, but never saw them through to completion. You abandon the previous notion because you are preoccupied by the next bright thing or novel concept. Consequently, he never really advanced. I sat down with him one day and told him that he needed to improve his discipline. You must teach yourself to persevere through difficult tasks until they are completed, even when you don't feel like it or when it's dull. And you know what? He heeded that counsel. He began modestly, completing one tiny thing at a time, and he gradually acquired the self-discipline to carry out the major tasks. He's quite successful now, and he'll tell you that the secret to it all was self-discipline. Taking on your limiting beliefs is another strategy to change your perspective. You see, a lot of us are constrained by our own self-perceptions rather than by outside factors. In the globe, we believe that because we haven't done something before, we can't, or because we're not good enough according to someone. However, such beliefs are just ideas, and ideas are subject to change. Therefore, try to replace such limiting ideas with empowered ones every day. Consider that I'm learning how to accomplish something rather than that I can't. Consider myself on the road to achievement rather than believing I'll never succeed. Over time, you'll discover that your whole perspective on life changes as you make little daily improvements to your thinking. I used to know a guy who had mental health issues and was always thinking about the bad things in life. He saw every challenge as overwhelming and every setback as inevitable. Because of this, he was unable to proceed, no matter how hard he tried. I sat down with him one day and told him that he needed to change the way he thought. You must shift your attention from what is wrong to what is possible. He began reading a few pages of an inspirational book every morning after taking that advice to heart, expressing appreciation every night and gradually turning his attention from issues to solutions. His life changed along with his mentality throughout time. He gained self-assurance, resilience, and success. And it all began with his daily routine of changing his perspective. Since time is the one resource that we all have in equal amounts, time management requires careful attention. Time is valuable, but how we utilize it makes all the difference, because you can never get it back after it's gone. Therefore, learning how to effectively manage your time is essential if you want to do big things in life. And the good news is that you can become better at time management every day. Perhaps you work on establishing clear priorities today, and tomorrow you concentrate on getting rid of distractions. You practice saying no to items that don't fit with your objectives the next day. Every little bit of time management progress builds up, and before you know it, you're concentrating on the things that really matter and completing more tasks in less time. Tell me how frequently you're busy, yet not getting anything done. How often do you put off critical chores in favor of things that don't truly make a difference? As you can see, being busy does not equate to being productive, which is why enhancing your time management skills is essential. It involves concentrating on the appropriate things. One of the finest methods to be more efficient with your time is to do it at the appropriate time and in the appropriate manner, is to spend a few minutes each morning to arrange your day. To choose your daily priorities, list the items that are most essential. You must complete the tasks you may assign or remove. And here's a crucial point. Schedule your breaks in addition to your job. You see, if you don't take time to relax, you'll burn out. Relax is just as crucial as activity. Therefore, be careful to include both into your time management. Efficiency and relaxation. Over the years, I've dealt with a lot of folks who have had trouble managing their time. They tell me, Jim, I tell them that I just don't have enough time to finish everything. You and everyone else have the same amount of time. It's about making better use of the time you have, not about having more of it. Therefore, if you want to enhance your life, start with better time management. It's a daily routine, and you grow a bit better every day. After that, you'll notice that things start to go more easily in your life. You need to increase your knowledge every day, and I'm telling you this now. You're slipping behind if you don't study, since the world is always changing. The more you understand, the more you can do, and the more value you can provide to the market, and you get more benefits the more value you provide. Therefore, you must increase your knowledge every day if you want to keep ahead in life. How do you manage to dedicate yourself to learning something new each day? By just reading, listening, and studying. Perhaps you came upon an article about your sector today. You attend a personal development seminar tomorrow, and the following day you enroll in a course to further your knowledge. Every little learning investment adds up. You'll discover that your knowledge, abilities, and readiness for anything life throws at you have increased. However, learning doesn't end when you graduate from school. In fact, that's when the true learning starts. You see, self-education will make you a fortune, while traditional schooling will only earn you a livelihood. The world's most prosperous individuals are lifelong learners who never stop expanding their knowledge, because they are aware that they can do more the more they study. One of the sharpest guys I've ever encountered was Mr. Schoaf, but he didn't become that way by accident. He developed that way by making studying a daily priority. Jim once told me that the more you study, the more money you make, and I took it seriously. I began reading, listening to recordings, going to seminars, and doing whatever else I could to further my knowledge. Furthermore, Mr. Schoaf was correct. As I gained more knowledge, I was presented with additional possibilities. There is never a good day to ignore your money, and the same will apply to you going forward. You see, your financial condition is something you make rather than something that simply occurs to you, and it needs daily care and development, just like every other aspect of life. Whether your goal is to reduce debt, accumulate riches, or just increase your financial stability. It begins with daily, little, persistent gains. The fact is that most individuals don't really comprehend money. They don't know how to handle it, but they know how to earn it. And as a consequence, regardless of their income, they are always having difficulties. The good news is that you can make little daily improvements to your financial status. Perhaps you might start by keeping track of your spending today to see where your money is going. You construct a basic budget tomorrow to ensure that you are living within your means. You begin allocating a little portion of your pay for investments or savings the next day. Your finances will be under control before you realize it, thanks to the cumulative effect of these little actions. And developing, I'm telling you, it's not about your income. It has to do with how much money you maintain. Some individuals are really wealthy. However, they live paycheck to paycheck and squander their money as quickly as they earn it, always on the verge of financial difficulties, whereas others with lower incomes are able to save. Because they have learned the fundamentals of financial management, they can invest and accumulate money, and everyone can learn those concepts. You don't need to be an expert in finance you just need to make tiny, wise choices each day to better your financial situation. Spend less than you make and invest the remainder, according to one of the finest financial tips I've ever heard. Despite its simplicity, it has great force. Your financial future will be safe if you live by that philosophy every day, but the secret is that it calls for discipline. Saying no to needless spending today requires the ability to postpone pleasure in order for you to accept financial independence in the future. And you can become better at managing your money every day by developing your capacity to make intelligent financial judgments. And tell me how to invest in your future. Have you ever wondered where all of your money went when you glanced at your bank statement? That indicates that it's time to begin making better financial decisions. Instead than allowing your money to rule you, it's time to take charge of it. And it just requires little, steady improvements rather than significant alterations. The next step in personal growth is this. Growth is the key to life. If you're not growing, you're stagnating, because you're slipping behind if you're not moving. Therefore, you need to strive to improve every day. Version of yourself. Growth, not perfection, is what matters. Personal development is a lifetime path that involves continuously developing who you are, how you think, and what you do. And you can't afford to ignore it. Perhaps you might focus on raising your level of self-awareness today, recognizing your habits, inclinations, weaknesses, and strengths. You will focus on learning a new skill tomorrow that will benefit your career. In personal life, you concentrate on raising your emotional intelligence the next day, gaining emotional self-control and improving interpersonal relationships. Each of these little adjustments advances your overall development, and you'll discover that you've evolved into the person you always imagined yourself to be. Setting goals is one of the finest things you can do for your own personal growth. Clearly defined objectives that push you to develop. The important thing is that those objectives have to be in line with your purpose, beliefs, and interests. You see, being more is more important than just doing more. It's about developing into the kind of person who can accomplish those objectives, and you can work on that every day. Perhaps you decided to read one chapter of a book on personal development today. You decide to spend 10 minutes tomorrow practicing a new habit. The next day, you decide to evaluate your progress and make any necessary course corrections. Each of these little steps advances you on your path to self-improvement. Now, it's crucial to realize that studying isn't the only aspect of personal growth. Learning new things and unlearning things that don't help you. Sometimes you have to let go of old habits and beliefs in order to evolve, and outdated thought patterns that are impeding your progress. Personal growth is thus a continuous process. You're always learning, developing, and changing, and you'll discover that your life becomes better the more you put into that process. One of the most potent lessons I've ever learned about when it comes to personal growth: you attract what you become. You must develop effective habits, ways of thinking, and ways of doing if you want to draw success into your life. Being a good person is essential if you want to draw in wonderful connections. Of wonderful connections if you want to draw wealth. You need to cultivate an attitude of plenty. Additionally, you may work on it every day. By making little daily improvements to yourself, you may become more focused, disciplined, optimistic, and successful. Next, your purpose. This is crucial. You see, purpose is what motivates you to get up in the morning and gives your life direction. What motivates you to persevere through difficult times? And here's the secret: you must continually develop your objective and work on it every day. Now, some people may say, "Jim, deepen it and live it out in everything you do." I'm not sure what my mission is, but that's good since you see it is something you learn and grow over time, rather than something you find all at once. And you may make little improvements every day. Perhaps today you take some time to consider what matters most to you. You take a little step toward your goals tomorrow, and the following day you make sure your actions reflect your ideals. Every day you take steps to live a purposeful life, and before you realize it, your mission will become more apparent, more robust and satisfying. The truth is that everything else falls into place when you live with purpose. Your connections deepen, your job takes on more significance, and your obstacles become chances for personal development. A meaningful life is based on a foundation of purpose which you may build on every day. I once met a guy who was really unhappy despite having everything: money, status, and recognition. He was unable to understand why we had a talk one day, so I asked him. He was unable to respond when asked what his goal was or why he was doing all of this. He had been pursuing achievement for so long that he had forgotten why he had first desired it. I advised him that he needed to discover his mission and live it every day. He began concentrating on what really important to him after taking that counsel to heart. Making a difference and living a meaningful life by assisting others, and you know what? He found contentment and happiness when his whole life transformed. Have you ever wondered where all of your money went when you glanced at your bank statement? That indicates that it's time to begin making better financial decisions. Instead than allowing your money to rule you, it's time to take charge of it. And it just requires little steady improvements rather than significant alterations. The next step in personal growth is this: growth is the key to life. If you're not growing, you're stagnating, because you're slipping behind if you're not moving. Therefore, you need to strive to improve every day. Version of yourself. Growth, not perfection, is what matters. Personal development is a lifetime path that involves continuously developing who you are, how you think, and what you do. And you can't afford to ignore it. Perhaps you might focus on raising your level of self-awareness today, recognizing your habits, inclinations, weaknesses, and strengths. You will focus on learning a new skill tomorrow that will benefit your career. In personal life, you concentrate on raising your emotional intelligence the next day, gaining emotional self-control and improving interpersonal relationships. Each of these little adjustments advances your overall development, and you'll discover that you've evolved into the person you always imagined yourself to be. Setting goals is one of the finest things you can do for your own personal growth. Clearly defined objectives that push you to develop. The important thing is that those objectives have to be in line with your purpose, beliefs, and interests. You see, being more is more important than just doing more. It's about developing into the kind of person who can accomplish those objectives, and you can work on that every day. Perhaps you decided to read one chapter of a book on personal development today. You decide to spend 10 minutes tomorrow practicing a new habit. The next day, you decide to evaluate your progress and make any necessary course corrections. Each of these little steps advances you on your path to self-improvement. Now, it's crucial to realize that studying isn't the only aspect of personal growth. Learning new things and unlearning things that don't help you. Sometimes you have to let go of old habits and beliefs in order to evolve. And outdated thought patterns that are impeding your progress. Personal growth is thus a continuous process. You're always learning, developing and changing, and you'll discover that your life becomes better the more you put into that process. One of the most potent lessons I've ever learned about when it comes to personal growth: you attract what you become. You must develop effective habits, ways of thinking, and ways of doing if you want to draw success into your life. Being a good person is essential if you want to draw in wonderful connections. Of wonderful connections if you want to draw wealth. You need to cultivate an attitude of plenty. Additionally, you may work on it every day. By making little daily improvements to yourself, you may become more focused, disciplined, optimistic and successful. Next, your purpose. This is crucial. You see, purpose is what motivates you to get up in the morning and gives your life direction. What motivates you to persevere through difficult times? And here's the secret: you must continually develop your objective and work on it every day. Now, some people may say, "Jim, deepen it and live it out in everything you do." I'm not sure what my mission is, but that's good since you see it. Is something you learn and grow over time, rather than something you find all at once. And you may make little improvements every day. Perhaps today you take some time to consider what matters most to you. You take a little step toward your goals tomorrow, and the following day you make sure your actions reflect your ideals. Every day you take steps to live a purposeful life, and before you realize it, your mission will become more apparent, more robust and satisfying. The truth is that everything else falls into place when you live with purpose. Your connections deepen, your job takes on more significance, and your obstacles become chances for personal development. A meaningful life is based on a foundation of purpose which you may build on every day. I once met a guy who was really unhappy despite having everything: money, status, and recognition. He was unable to understand why. We had a talk one day, so I asked him. He was unable to respond when asked what his goal was or why he was doing all of this. He had been pursuing achievement for so long that he had forgotten why he had first desired it. I advised him that he needed to discover his mission and live it every day. He began concentrating on what really important to him after taking that counsel to heart. Making a difference and living a meaningful life by assisting others, and you know what? He found contentment and happiness when his whole life transformed. A calmness he had never known before, and it all began with the daily routine of leading a purposeful life. After being thankful is one of the most important things to do every day. One of the strongest feelings you may develop is gratitude, which has the capacity to change your life in a number of ways. When you concentrate on your blessings, you'll see things you can't even fathom. You start focusing on the positive aspects of your life rather than the things that are lacking. And you draw more positive things into your life when you do that. It doesn't take much to cultivate gratitude, which you may do every day. Perhaps you will take a time today to be grateful for those in your life who help you. Tomorrow, you concentrate on the little things you often take for granted, such your house, employment, and health. You express some thanks the next day for the difficulties that have aided in your development. Your perspective changes from one of scarcity to one of plenty when you are appreciative, and over time you'll discover that your whole perspective on life changes. Tell me, ever had a rough day when it felt like nothing went right? We've all experienced it. But the key is that even on bad days, there is cause for gratitude. Perhaps it's the strength you get from conquering adversity, Or perhaps it's the lesson you learned from a mistake, a hardship. But when you concentrate on being thankful, even the difficult moments become worthwhile. Gratitude is one of those things that multiplies, and that's its true power. The more you do it, the more you concentrate on your blessings. As you become more thankful, it will seem like a snowball tumbling down a hill. With each day of practice, it becomes larger and larger. The wonderful part is that as you practice gratitude, you draw in more of the things for which you are thankful. You establish a constructive cycle of plenty, happiness and satisfaction that becomes stronger every day. Being thankful today involves more than simply feeling good. It also involves doing. When you really appreciate something, you want to return the favor. You want to help people change the world by contributing. And that's another reason gratitude is so potent. It not just makes your life better, yet it also motivates you to make other people's lives better. Making thankfulness a daily habit starts to alter more than just your viewpoint, but also your actions. Showing gratitude softens us, of increasing our compassion, patience, and generosity. You see, when you appreciate the little and large gifts in your life and concentrate on what you have, you begin to let go of that feeling of shortage, a tremendous dread of running out of things, because you begin to live abundantly when you stop living in fear. And I'm telling you that one of the biggest changes you can make in your life is to live in plenty. Like a muscle, gratitude requires daily practice to become strong. Take a time each day to consider your blessings. They don't have to be significant. Perhaps you're thankful for the sunlight today. You are thankful that there will be food on your table the next day. You're thankful for any lessons you've learned from adversity. Discover that the key isn't the magnitude of the object for which you are thankful, even if it's little. The important thing I'm telling you now is the act of gratitude itself. Being thankful does not include denying issues or acting as if everything is flawless. When it's not, life presents difficulties. However, cultivating gratitude gives you the fortitude to deal with such difficulties without being overwhelmed by them. You learn to accept that it's difficult, but I'm still thankful. Gratitude helps you concentrate on what's good rather than what's bad, which gives you the power to get through it, to what's right, which provides you with the drive, bravery, and outlook to keep going. I know a lady who was going through a very trying period in her life. She was feeling adrift when her relationship ended, and she lost her job. One day, when everything seemed to be difficult, we sat down, and I told her, even in the middle of this tempest, you must find something for which to be thankful. She first believed it was impossible, but she began modestly. She listed one item for which she was thankful every day, no matter how little. Her viewpoint gradually changed over time, and she started to recognize chances. Once she first encountered challenges, she began to reconstruct her life, and she is happier and more prosperous now than she has ever been, and she'll tell you that gratitude was the first step. Now, there's something more I want to stress. When you are thankful for everything, it spreads like a virus. People in your vicinity see it spreading. Your upbeat attitude encourages people to find the bright aspects of their own life. Your generosity inspires others to show their gratitude for life. And that's a strong thing. So consider your life at this moment. Consider the aspects of your attitude, communication, and discipline that we have discussed. Your money, time management, relationships, and mentality, personal growth, finding your mission, and showing gratitude. How many of these places might profit from daily improvements of even a little amount? And how would your life change if you made a commitment to implementing those little adjustments every day? And that's it. Taking a single significant step won't result in long-lasting change. It may be found in the little regular things you do each day. That's when the metamorphosis takes place and the true magic happens. I've often seen folks who make a commitment to become a little better every day, who prioritize the process above the result, accomplish remarkable feats, because little practices naturally lead to success, repeated over time. So please let me know what little change you can make today. Which aspect of your life can you begin implementing these ideas in right now? Perhaps it has to do with money. Perhaps you examine your expenditures and make a little change. Perhaps it has to do with your connections, or perhaps you want to express your gratitude to someone. Whatever it is, get started now rather than waiting for the ideal moment. Don't wait for everything to fall into place. Instead, start with what you already have and resolve to become a little better every day. Therefore, I would want to know what one tiny action you can do today. What is one area of your life where you can begin making those little changes to start developing that discipline? Everyday progress. Keep in mind that it doesn't have to be significant. It just has to be consistent. It doesn't need to be flawless. Because those little things add up over time. And before you know it, you'll be standing in a remember the strength of purpose and do something you never imagined was possible. It's the motivation behind all you accomplish and what gives all these everyday advancements their significance. And everything else falls into place when you have a clear objective and your discipline becomes stronger. Your drive becomes irrepressible and your appreciation grows. However, the truth is that purpose is something you find and develop over time rather than something that is given to you, and it's something you can become better at every day, just like everything else we've discussed. Perhaps you spend some time today thinking about what is most important to you. You make a move tomorrow to match your behavior with your principles. The next day, you seek for opportunities to help others and change the world. You are one step closer to leading a purposeful life with each of these little actions. Everything else in your life becomes more significant, satisfying, and gratifying when you live with purpose. Write this down because I want you to remember it when you go home. Life is a process rather than a final destination, and the little daily actions you do each day provide you the chance to become better on that trip. You have the opportunity to improve somewhat every day compared to yesterday, and when you resolve to become better every day in every aspect of your life, the voyage itself is the prize you'll discover. So what will you do better today? What little regular steps will you take to get closer? Remember that living the life you desire doesn't require taking a huge leap. It involves living each day one little step at a time, and you'll be astounded by what you can accomplish in the long run after doing that. That is the true key to success. It has nothing to do with skill, luck, or even hard effort. It's about the everyday gains and the little disciplines. You have control over the little decisions you make every day, my friends. I hope it resonates with you, and I have no doubt that if you start concentrating on these minor everyday enhancements, you begin to notice significant improvements in your life, and you continue to get better. And keep in mind that success is something you attract by the person you become, not something you seek.